What are some Disney theme park secrets that some people may not know? There are 3 hidden phones in Magic Kingdom that when you pick up have dialogue from Disney characters like Stitch in Tomorrowland. I definitely remember picking one of these up in a store in Disneyland, but I don't think it was hidden. Workers go around the park every night and touch up anything and everything with paint if it was chipped or scratched during the day. I was there trying to figure out how I managed to go the whole day without seeing any graffiti. It was almost surreal once I noticed that not a single surface in the whole park had a dong drawn on it. Those guys are good. As you pass between worlds and Disney World, pay attention to your feet. At the edge of each world, the pavement abruptly changes. Walt called them sensory reticles. They're there to startle you and make you look up and look around, realizing that your surroundings have changed. The window ads on Main Street in Disneyland and Disney World, too. I think Nope, see below, are made of the names of families who sold their land to Disney to form the park. As you approach Cinderella's fountain, notice that she looks sad. She's looking down at the animals, is dressed in rags, and her face is almost hidden. Now squat down and look up from the perspective of a young child. You'll see she's actually smiling, and the crowned device in the fountain appears to be sitting on her head. The parks are full of things like that appear different from a child's perspective, because Walt designed them with young children in mind. Whoa, that last one is pretty cool, although a little sad for adults. I have used this 3 times on 3 separate visits and it worked every time. Take the barge over to Tom Sawyer Island and there are supposed to be a few paintbrushes hidden on the island. If you present a found paintbrush to the barge driver, they will give your entire party fast passes to one of the rides, usually Big Thunder Mountain or Splash Mountain. I have never found a paintbrush, but on the way back from the island I always ask the barge driver if all the paintbrushes were found that day and they always say yes. Then, without fail, when everyone is unloading they call me over and present me with the passes. I don't think they go through the trouble of hiding the brushes anymore and just give the passes to people that mention the brushes. I usually start the park in reverse and those passes are awesome by the time you get to the long lines of Splash Mountain. When it was just my husband and I, they gave us 2 passes each to both rides. Probably the best secret of the park. If a guest asks an employee for directions, they can't point with only one finger. They need to use 2 fingers or their entire hand. Also, employees in the park, even off the clock, can never talk about characters being played by people, in case a child overhears them. I did the commercial for Disneyland that was for the nearby sponsored hotels and I wasn't allowed to point with one finger either. Strange. Hope I'm not too late, but here's something I learned myself. Flashback a decade ago, 9-year-old me finally got one of those cool signature books that all his friends got at Disney also. Well, I made it my mission to collect every signature I could possibly get. Now it's the last day of the trip and after countless hours of signature hunting, I lose my book. I was devastated. All those hours gone to waste. Flash forward 2 weeks after my arrival home and I get a package in the mail. What do you know? It's my book. Free shipping and a nice letter with a few extra signatures I was missing. Now that I think back on it, it's the small stuff like that that truly make Disney awesome. A long time ago I found a signature book at DL and brought it to City Hall. It had a name in it, so I hope they got it to the kid who lost it. Maybe it was you. When I worked at WDW, they told us that, in the green space around the theme parks, part of the Reedy Creek Improvement District, Disney keeps a few pens of chickens. The chickens aren't for eating, they're for checking to see if they show signs of mosquito-borne illnesses, like West Nile. Disney does a lot to keep the mosquito population down as it is, but the chickens are just one more way to monitor the potential spread of life-threatening illness in the area. The whole state of FL does that as far as I know. They are called Sentinel chickens for West Nile and the like. There are backstage tours that will take you behind the scenes of the parks. The garden tour in Epcot will show you the special hybrid fruits and vegetables that they grow, like the Mickey-shaped watermelon. There are a couple of different marathons that Disney World hosts each year. There's a Tower of Terror 10-mile run in October and a Princess Half Marathon. Garden tour in Epcot is the great. Highly suggest it. People keep trying to spread the ashes of dead relatives at the parks. This is supposedly very problematic on the Haunted Mansion and Big Thunder Mountain. Every time it happens, Disney have to shut down the ride and send in a cleanup crew in hazmat suits. A former Haunted Mansion cast member here can confirm they shut down the ride, but they only send a custodian with vacuum cleaner to clean it up. I saw this happen at least once a month. The cookies sold in the stores are shipped in pre-made. That fresh cookie smell that hits you as you walk by comes from scent machines they have strategically placed around the park. That's one I haven't heard, but makes total sense. The smell is so strong it actually makes me sick and not want cookies. I have done far too much research into this topic for it to be considered normal, but anyway, here's a few random ones. Gum isn't sold in Disney so that it isn't littered everywhere. Don't spend money on water. Ask for a cup of water in any restaurant and you'll get it for free. A trash can is never more than 30 feet away from you. When you take a walk down Main Street, take a good close look at the castle. You will notice that the bricks get smaller the higher up the castle goes. The engineers called it the forced perspective technique. The castle looks a little taller than it would if all the bricks were the same size. On the Pirates of the Caribbean ride, it is said if you scream out George 3 times during the fire scene, something will happen. Legend has it that it is haunted by a spirit called George. Go into Tinkerbell Treasures and find a special box containing a sleeping Tinkerbell. If you are the first guest to find her, then you might be lucky enough to be asked to wake her up. If so, then there will be a surprise for everyone in the store. In Fantasyland, pull the sword from the stone and you could be the lucky one to actually pull it out. One that most people know is the hidden Mickeys. Basically, there are hidden Mickey symbols all over the parks. I've found quite a few when I look closely enough. That's just a few, but yeah, I'm from a big Disney family and we know a lot about Disney and its history. Club Cool at Epcot has free samples of Coca-Cola soft drinks from around the world. While they don't give away actual Coke or Diet Coke, many of the sodas are quite tasty, and since it's self-serve, you can have an unlimited number of samples, one small cup after the next. Be sure to try the Beverly. I will never forget my sister's expression when she tried the Beverly. She still remembers that soda flavor to this day. It was great fun to watch people take their first taste. Highly recommend trying it. Get the whole family to do it. Main Street is based on 1910 America, while Tomorrowland was designed to represent 1986. Both were chosen because they were Halley's Comet years. Also, Disneyland Paris almost went bankrupt. The park didn't mesh well with French culture and many Parisians were mad a Disney park was around. Also, originally the park didn't even serve breakfast because the Imagineers were misinformed. Shades of Green is a resort located in Disney World exclusively for active retired military members and their families. It has very reduced prices. Also, active retired military members and their families get a discount on tickets. Even though Disney now has the rights to some Marvel figures, they are banned on showing them rides, merchandise, character meetups in any theme park east of the Mississippi River. And I don't know how true this last one is, but I saw somewhere that Epcot releases cats at night to kill any rodents that have wandered into the property, and then they are trained to return before dawn by a song playing over the park sound system. I'm not sure if the first one is true, but these were told to me by other cast members when I did the college program at WDW. During the nighttime fireworks show at the Magic Kingdom, there's a point in the show where you see Tinkerbell descend from one of the spires on the castle into a spot in Tomorrowland. Apparently the person who usually does that stunt is actually a tiny Asian man, not a cute blonde girl. The people who do it, it's not just the one guy, are on a very strict diet to stay in specific weight range. Way too little, you go down too fast. Way too much, you go down too slow, and they're paid very well. Also, if you're hired to play a fur character, your face won't be seen. You'll be trained in multiple roles in your height range, regardless of the gender of the character. So, the person in the mini costume might actually be a guy. Mickey is usually played by a girl, since there aren't as many guys in that height range. My ex-boyfriend's stepmom did this. She's not a tiny Asian man. If you go on People Mover enough, it'll break down for half an hour and you'll get a free fast pass. People Mover breaks down a lot. If you go on the People Mover when Space Mountain is broken down, you can see it with the lights on. There were plans to build a Disney-themed ski and nature park called Mineral King. next to Sequoia National Park. It was derailed by local activists in the 60s. The Country Bear Jamboree show was actually designed for Mineral King and relocated back to Anaheim when the plans fell through. Man, I miss that show. I loved it. My grandma loved it too. I remember the first time she took me, she wanted to watch it twice. In the summer of 1972 in California, a guest fired a .22 caliber handgun at the glass in a scene in the haunted mansion. The scene was the one in the ballroom. He fired at 2 ghosts who were dueling in the room. The hole is now covered by what's meant to look like a spider web. Surprisingly enough, the same guest shot a hole into the second to last window of the Primeval World diorama, and the bullet fragments also matched that of those found in the original Tomorrowland ride, Adventure Through Inner Space, TLDR. Some guy fired a handgun in 3 different rides at Disneyland. They didn't replace the glass because they would have to remove the roof of mansion. It simply cost too much to do. If you look close at it, you can actually see the hole behind the fake spider. There are several abandoned lands in some of the Disney parks. Most famously is River Country, which has been abandoned since 2001, and apparently electricity, water, and background music continue to operate in the park. There is also Discovery Island, formerly Treasure Island, which was a wildlife and water park up until 1999. It's been abandoned ever since. In Liberty Square there are no bathrooms because there were no bathrooms in that era. The Liberty Tree Tavern is on the border of Frontierland and the Liberty Square. The bathrooms are on the side where Frontierland begins so that they can say that there are no bathrooms in Liberty Square. The brown streak in Liberty Square represents the sewage that people used to throw from their chamber pots into the streets. Always get a birthday reunion some kind of button. On your birthday they will offer you free cake. The restaurants will cater to your every need if you have some sort of allergy, are gluten-free, or kosher. The food won't be as good, but they'll still do it. Talk to the CMs. They are very friendly, and if you are nice enough back to them they will sometimes do something magical for you. That is, get you in to meet a character, take you to the front of the line, sprinkle some pixie dust on your head, give you a sticker, etc. Hidden Mickeys. Every ride at Disneyland has a depiction of Mickey, usually 2 circles on top of another circle, hidden somewhere, among other Easter eggs, like the toy blocks in the Peter Pan ride spelling out Disney if you look directly down. But if someone says they slipped a hidden Mickey in your drink, you shouldn't drink it. The original Submarine ride, predecessor to the current Nemo ride in Disneyland, used to use real mermaids. Attractive young women were specifically hired to wear costumes and sit on the rock formations in the middle of the pool. They were later removed because of problems with their hair turning color from the water chemicals. That and some men actually tried to swim out to them. Say you dropped your ice cream and they'll give you a free one. I don't steal. I only tried it once. I've only been once anyway. I'm surprised I haven't seen this one yet. If you are a fan of coffee, buy one on Main Street in Disneyland. If you keep your receipt, you can have free refills all day. They have guards placed on Main Street every day during the parade, strategically blocking people and making sure kids don't run into the street. They are called pack members, parade audience control. A lot of these people will not take crap. Without a moment's notice they will call security and have you thrown out. A lot of times they get spit on by the guests. So great, imagine the hatred they have for people. If you masturbate on Splash Mountain when they take the picture right before the drop, the police will escort you out and give you a ride to jail. At Disneyland in Anaheim, there is a video arcade beside Space Mountain. When I was there a year ago, they had a cabinet of In the Groove. It's an open source Dance Revolution knockoff that can copy and save .mp3 files, .avi files, and .sm files off any flash drive. The cabinet was modded, and over time, has been accumulating every song ever connected to it without getting the HDD replaced. It has over 4,000 songs on it, every version of DDR, every version of In the Groove, tournament packs, countless custom packs, even songs lasting over 9 minutes in length to get the most out of your quarter. And they took pristine care of the pads. They were perfect. While this may not mean much to your average Disney guest, anyone who was into the DDR In the Groove thing would consider that the jackpot. After Disneyland closes, crap ton of stray cats appear and roam the park. They even feed and care for them. Reason? Mice population control. Mickey, I'm the only mouse. This is my world. AAHA. I got an annual pass just so I could go to California Adventure's Corn Dog Castle for lunch. Those corn dogs are the crap. I'm obese. Not really a secret, just the truth. Disneyland Japan and Disney Sea were forbidden from advertising outside Japan because they are so much better than any of the other parks, and Disney didn't want people to know. Reason for this is they don't own the parks. The Disney brand is licensed to the Oriental Land Company. They, in turn, literally handed Disney Imagineers a blank check. Disney Sea is still the world's most expensive theme park at a cost of $7 billion. Maybe someone else can shed some light on this, as my childhood memories are a bit hazy. My dad worked in telecom in the late 80s, early 90s, working his way up the corporate ladder, first at South Central Bell, then AT&T. When we went to Disney World for the first time, we went to Epcot, to Spaceship Earth. Dad presented his AT&T corporate credentials, and we were ushered around the line, to lounge where, as I recall, the walls were lined with soda fountains, sodas from all over the world. After filling my chubby little face with international soda, we were escorted to a door which, when opened, revealed that we were on the opposite side of the car, or whatever it is you ride the ride in, than everyone else who was standing in line. I remember looking back and seeing that the door, when closed, matched the scenery so as to be hidden. We were seated before everyone else. I can remember the envious and curious looks on their faces. TLDR. There might be a secret room only for AT&T employees and their families at Spaceship Earth. Go in the single rider line, especially on rides with long lines like Splash Mountain. It's essentially a fast pass, but you can do it over and over again. The only downside is you don't always get to sit with your group, but when I did it a lot I found that 50% of the time I was still with my group. Just ask the employees in front of the ride where the single rider line is. If you make your way over to the Kilimanjaro Safari attraction in Animal Kingdom, or any attraction, really, I just have a special spot in my heart for KSR because I worked on it. Ask the cast members questions. Most attractions workers take classes in order to get really into character, so you'll get some cool stories, and almost all of them are eager to point out secrets about their attractions or park. Honestly, the cast members' jobs get super repetitive, so having unique conversations with guests and especially kids is usually the highlight of their day. It always was for me. Disneyland was built on an orange grove, and Walt wanted to keep many of the orange trees standing, so he tagged the ones that he wanted to keep with green ribbons and the ones he wanted knocked down with a red ribbon. As fate would have it, the bulldozer operator was colorblind. No more orange trees. Disney World, Orlando, has an underground that runs most of the park. To get into Disney with minimal traffic, take the 528 not I-4. Don't buy the tickets from street vendors. It's a scam. Eat before you go. It will save a family of 4 at least a C note for a day. The monorail and the boat to get there take the same amount of time. Get there early and go to the rides at the back of the park, then work your way to the front. The teacup ride can make you throw up. Personal experience. You have to ask for cigarettes at the stores. They are not in the open. Fun trick. Drop a piece of trash anywhere and step back 20 steps. Most likely in less than 2 minutes a cast member will be there to pick it up. Disney is very clean. Dirty trick. Get someone in your party to be in a wheelchair. You got right to the front of the line, but you lose major karma. Source. Born and raised in Orlando. Been to Disney more times than I remember. They have a new system to prevent people from abusing the wheelchair entrance. If I remember correctly, you go to a kiosk at the entrance, and they give you a ticket that lets you cut in front of everyone after the estimated wait time. If the wait time is 45 minutes, this ticket lets you cut 45 minutes after you get it. I know when I went with my high school band and chorus to perform, they take you backstage and give all the performers some sacks that have sheet music for It's a Small World printed on them, and the note heads are little Mickey heads, and they also give your group a mouseica, similar to an Oscar. It was cool. There are twice as many security without uniform as there are in uniform. The place is absolutely crawling with security. You haven't the slightest idea. They're everywhere and they're incredibly discreet. Just regular Joes walking around enjoying the park, having a Mickey ice cream bar or whatever. But if one kid shrieks and you pay attention, there's a magical moment when 5 guys in sunglasses will sharply turn towards them and then walk away a few seconds later with their fanny packs and cotton candy. At WDW Florida, there is an apartment built into the castle at the Magic Kingdom. It was originally for Disney himself, but he died before the park's completion. Today it is used exclusively by the Make-A-Wish Foundation. That's incorrect. I was a Make-A-Wish kid. They only use the room inside of the castle for sweepstakes promotions. Disney stars. There is always a garbage can at most 30 steps away from you at any given time. Apparently Walt Disney would observe how far a guest would walk before they would litter if they couldn't find a garbage can, and calculated that one should never be more than 30 steps away. Also, they do not sell gum within the parks at all. In Disneyland, there is the Dream Suite above Pirates of the Caribbean. It cannot be bought. Has to be won as a prize. Every room has a button that will trigger some type of magic in the room, but you can only push the magic button 3 times. After that it will not work. As a part of the prize, we were given bathrobes at 9:45 PM and wore them around the park for the rest of the night. We'll provide proof if requested. After the park closed, we were given an hour tour of the park with no one inside. Great experience. At Disney World, you can stay at the off-hotel properties that are right by downtown Disney and get free shuttles to each park, and they are much cheaper than on the park properties. Not Disney World, but at Universal Studios Florida, if you stay at one of their on-property hotels, your room key is an unlimited fast pass for every ride at both parks. Not sure if they removed the restriction to the new Harry Potter area, since it did not work because it was fairly new last time our family vacationed there. When Magic Kingdom was being built, they hired Kodak to tint the pavement on Main Street slightly red so the grass looked greener. There's a basketball court in the top of the Matterhorn. People sometimes try to sprinkle real ashes in the haunted mansion, so there are probably way more than 999 ghosts in it. Disneyland is the only place in the world other than the Dole Plantation in Hawaii where you can get pineapple Dole Whip ice cream. Club 33. This was Walt's club reserved for family and friends. It's the only place in Disneyland that serves alcohol and is connected to Walt's Disneyland condo, where even the most seasoned employees have only been in maybe the first room. The club has a 14+ year waiting list and costs $10,000 to get in, plus $2,500 plus per year depending on the type of membership. Nowadays corporations are mostly the only new members. No one has legally ever died at their parks. Disney pays a lot of money to pronounce them dead off the property. Disney doesn't pay for soda from Coke. Coke provides it for free, in return for being the sole provider. To Coke it is an advertising expense. All Disney pays for is the .15 cup. Think about that next time you pay $5 for a soda. They don't track their daily admittance with easily retrievable records, so that they can't not be fined for being over capacity. The entire park can operate solely on revenue from the parking structure alone. That $120 you pay per day is pure profit. When a kid throws up, it's a protein spill, vomit, and we clean it up with pixie dust, sawdust. There are no lost children, only lost parents. If someone asks for directions, you always point with 2 fingers, as some foreigners interpret single finger pointing as offensive. The grandstands built at the bottom of the Humunga Cowabunga water slide at Typhoon Lagoon were built by Imagineers because they noticed men would gather around the base of extreme water slides to see women's tops fly off. The utilities under the Magic Kingdom are not magical secret places. They stink. This is because the trash in the park is moved through vacuum tubes in these tunnels. Lots of movie metaphors. We're not employees. We're cast members, since we're all playing parts in a show. Similarly, when we're interacting with guests, we're on stage, and when we're in break areas off stage. Another person mentioned the windows on Main Street. These are the credits at the beginning of the movie that will be your day at the park. Source: interned at WDW for Disney College Program. I'll think of some others and add them later. The reason the Tower of Terror at Disney World is the color it is because you can see it over the buildings in Morocco in Epcot, and that color best matches the Moroccan area of the World Showcase. I'll contribute. In Walt Disney World's Epcot, visit the France Pavilion and cross the bridge. If you turn and look over the wall, sometimes you'll see a man painting a picture, other times you'll see his painting left on a small ledge. It's just a cute added touch, and it's fun to catch him painting. In Walt Disney World's Magic Kingdom, you can find a hidden pet cemetery directly next to the entrance of the Haunted Mansion ride. Look up on the hill, and you'll see a headstone with Mr. Toad's face on it, accompanied by a short poem about how he wasn't as marketable as Winnie the Pooh. The Mr. Toad ride was removed and replaced by Winnie the Pooh's ride because no one remembered who Mr. Toad was anymore. In Walt Disney World's Animal Kingdom, take the safari ride and look up when you get to the alligator pit. There's a bridge up there reserved for special tours that cost a crazy ton of money that give you up close and personal looks at the animals, how they're cared for, and how they're fed. What's interesting is that if you fall off that bridge into the gator area, the cast members are trained to get the rest of the tour group off the bridge and out of sight and abandon you. The alligators are far too violent and territorial to allow you to live, and their priority is to keep themselves safe and keep other guests from watching you die. Not that anyone has, of course, but what else could they do? They certainly can't jump in after you, that would be suicide. Abandon is a slight exaggeration, but you're most likely going to die, and they need to keep the other guests from seeing it happen. If you are new to the channel, you can subscribe. I publish new videos every day. Until then, check another video. Bye for now.